What's up, gang? How you guys doing? It is Lieutenant Sound Blue. Listen, I am that's my stress balls right here. Just rocking the stress balls, guys. But as I do that, my topic today is very interesting, and at the same time, I guess it's very frustrating to many people when it comes to making sure that we move ahead in life, man, and it takes some time to pull this all together. And so I've been doing my podcast now, 225 episodes. I believe today is 225 episodes. And so all of a sudden today I go to my usual, how I log in to do my audio podcast, not my video. And it has me totally completely logged out, and it has my entire account like wiped clean, as if I never ever did not one podcast. And so that part is very frustrating, and I'm hoping that I can get my rhythm back, stay on topic, guys, and just give you guys as much value as possible when it comes to talking about my podcast and how I'm going to do everything in my power to help you to move forward in life, man. So let me put down these stress balls and we're gonna get started here. I am on Spotify and I'm on YouTube. I am actually live on Spotify. So if you guys happen to be on Spotify, the name of my podcast is Why Have You Been Avoiding the Truth? Right? That's the question of the day. And it is under Lieutenant Sound Blues Top 25 Mistakes podcast. So you guys can head on over there today, check me out, and while doing so, I'm gonna let Mr. J speak. What's going on, Mr. J? I'm live on my podcast. I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you. There you go. Well, I got Mr. J on there. Hopefully, you can hear me, Mr. J. But we talking about today's podcast. I'm on YouTube and I'm also on Spotify. And today's podcast is basically we're talking about why you have been avoiding the truth. And here goes. Here's the truth about avoiding the truth, man. It's ugly, man. The truth is ugly, and so I know that on this podcast, it's probably a very strange question, right, for people to be asking, for me to be asking at this time, because most people are not winning. Most people are not winning in life. If you guys have noticed over the past few years, right, it's probably been more for you guys to see the past few years, but people have not been winning in the worst way, right? They're actually people who seem like they were winning are now going backwards. And the reason why they're going backwards, guys, is because they're avoiding the truth, man. They're avoiding the truth and reality. And I get it, man. I get it. I'm not judging those people because I get it. In life, man, life seems so much easier when you don't face reality, right? Life is so much easier than you don't face reality. What's going on, Mr. J?
So what do you mean by people are not winning?
Well, people are not winning, meaning people are not succeeding in the life, the goals, right? Everybody has the goals that they're putting out in life, things that they're writing down. Most of the people by this time in January, it's the 22nd, they have already went backwards on their resolutions. They've given up on their resolutions. They've given up on things that they wanted to achieve for the year. And it's just because that a lot of people, they don't want to face reality, the truth. And the reason why is the truth is ugly. The truth is ugly, Mr. J. Yeah, the truth is ugly, man. And it's so much easier, right, when you don't face the reality of like your bad decisions, right? People don't face the reality of their bad decisions. Think about that, right? The reality of their relationships. People don't face the reality of their relationships. And a lot of people right now, you see the financial crisis and everything that's going on. People are not facing the reality of their financial situation. You know, so what do you think about that, Mr. J? Are you there, Mr. J? Well, I'm gonna keep rolling, Mr. J. And the point I'm making is that people would prefer living in a fantasy than in reality, right? And so all of these things that I'm talking about, you know, your decisions, your relationships, your financial situation, all these things that I'm talking about, a lot of people would rather put their head in the sand and just hope that the storm blows over, right? Hope that the government's going to step in and help them out, bail them out, you know. Right now they're talking about just bailing out people from their student loan situation and their lives. So they're talking about that. But people aren't working toward doing it themselves. They're waiting for somebody else to step in there and do it for them. And so that is the harsh reality of what's going on, of people not wanting to face the truth of what's going on. But what I've learned in life, right, is that trying to hide from your problems, it never works, because your problems always find you no matter where you are, right? No matter where you are, your problems always find you. It's just the reality of our lives and what we are dealing with each and every day. So it leaves us feeling very, very unpleasant, right? So and that feeling of unpleasant is just that life is hard and people don't want to feel that way every day. So it's just easier to avoid the truth, right? It's easier to avoid the truth. And what I found is that people cling more to people who don't tell them the truth. Okay? And I'll tell you guys this, right? I'll tell you guys this, right? In my years of law enforcement, telling people the truth, or like exactly how things are or needed to be, I was always met with anger from people, right? People didn't like to hear that. And so because people didn't like to hear it, I became very, very unpopular, because I was the guy always coming with, here he comes, he's coming with the truth again. I mean, they didn't use it in those terms. They used much more colorful terms when they talked about me. But I would basically just tell people how it was, and people didn't like that, right? So I was met with tons of anger and resentment by people who did not like the way I told the truth. Now, I spent years and years of my career trying to learn, banging my head against the wall, with the premise that I was doing the right thing by not sugarcoating what needed to be said or what needed to be done. So I felt that, yeah, guess what? The truth would prevail. We would go through with this, and things would always work out, right? You know, the truth will set you free. Some people say that, right? And so in doing that all the time, I was very, very rarely met with anything positive, right? Now, during this time of my career, right, I made 0 advancements, right? Think about this. I made 0 advancements. I gained little to no cooperation from people. And I spent years, right, as the person who so many people hated to be around. And all I did was want to tell the truth, right? All I did was want to speak reality. I wasn't doing anything wrong to anybody, right? I just wanted to speak reality and tell people, hey, this is how it is. This is how it should be. This is the way things should go, right? All of those things that I attempted to do were all met with negativity, right? Were all met with anger. Were all met with resentment from people who I tried to just I felt that I was enlightening people, you know? I felt that I was enlightening people. Now, it wasn't until I came across my mentor who told me that my delivery, right, and you guys may get a kick out of this, right? But he told me my delivery of the truth was like rubbing sandpaper on an open wound. How about that? So just imagine that in your head, right? Rubbing sandpaper on an open wound, he told me. That's how my delivery of telling people the truth was. And so when I heard this, I realized that maybe I needed to change, right? You know, when somebody tells you something like that, right? Can you imagine what my reaction was when I heard that? Right? I'm only speaking the truth. But in speaking the truth, it was more harsh than lies, right? People who were telling lies was getting ahead, and me telling the truth, man, it was a bad time for me as I was trying to advance and do better in life. Now, my mentor explained it to me so that I better understood it. And he explained to me that in our business, right, which was law enforcement at the time, as well as in life, he said, so don't mix that up because they are one and the same. He said, they are all harsh enough just to deal with. Right? Life is harsh and it's hard to deal with. Our business and law enforcement, extremely harsh and very, very difficult to deal with. Right? So he said there is no need, right, to distress people even more than they're already being distressed. Right? He said because what happens is when you distress people, not only do they function less, right? They try to avoid hearing it, right? People always avoid hearing the unfavorable delivery of the truth, right? And see, I use the word unfavorable delivery of the truth for a reason, man. I use unfavorable delivery of the truth for a reason because I wasn't going to change who I was and start telling lies, right? That's not what I'm trying to get at here, guys. I'm still trying to get you guys to move toward the truth, right? So in trying to get you guys to move toward the truth, it is very, very important that I let you guys know that just outright telling people the truth, right, and just coming right forth at it was not a good delivery system for me, and it was not working out to my benefit, right? So in learning that and knowing that, I soon began to change how I delivered my information. How about that? So in changing how I deliver my information to people, I just began playing to people's fantasies. Believe it or not, right? People love the romanticism and the fantasy of what they believe things should be like, or how they believe things should be said to them, or how they believe that the truth should be delivered. And if you do it any way other than that, then they tend to not get the information that you're trying to give them. And my point is that people need this information that I'm trying to give them. People need it, right? And more now than ever, people need the information that I'm giving you about life, about mistakes, about things that we do. So understand that you have to change your delivery system sometimes, guys. Okay. Now, how was I doing that? How did I go about doing that? Right? For me, it was like setting up an oasis in the desert, right? People walking that desert of information, that desert of the truth, the desert of life. And what I did was I set up a nice cabana out there in the middle of the desert with some nice cold lemonade, maybe some nice bottled water, a couple of fans, some grapes. Man, I set up a nice oasis out there for people so that they can come, right, and hear what I had to say, because I now began to wrap the truth, man, in optimism and all type of favorable colors that would get people to come. Because guess what? If you're telling the truth, right, and you're giving good information, but nobody's hearing, nobody's listening, then guess what? You're wasting your breath, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy. You know, I used to think, oh, just plug away, and it'll happen. But no, it doesn't happen that way, man. You can plug away all you want, but at the end of the day, if at the end of the day nobody hears your message, then it's like a tree falling in the forest, right? And that tree falling in the forest gets no reaction from nobody because nobody never heard you, man. So continue what you're doing, but wrap it so that people begin to flock towards you and they hear your message. That is so important, guys. That is what you guys need to do, man. Before, right, I used to deliver the truth to people, expecting them to want to get behind whatever cause, right? It used to be the causes, right? I know people are going to get behind this cause. This is truth, right? And I was pushing the cause, but the truth about the truth is that telling the truth to people was far too oppressive. It was far too oppressive to people, so they either refused to act, right, or they avoided me altogether because what I was saying was just too much for them to hear, right? It was too much for them to hear, so it was difficult for them. So I had to learn another way to communicate to people, right? I had to learn another way. So I'm gonna just give you guys some of the phrases that I was using that push people in the opposite direction, push people away from me, so that you guys don't use these phrases when you are trying to communicate to people, so that you can get the most out of everybody that you're trying to communicate with, right? Some of the phrases I used to use as a part of my regular vocabulary, right? My regular harsh vocabulary. Some of the phrases I used to use was like change. Change is slow. I used to tell people. People don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear change is slow. Change is slow is very, very painful, right? It's very, very painful for somebody to hear that change is slow. So they'll avoid that, right? When I should tell people it's going to require some hard work. Guess what? People don't want hard work either, right? People talk like they want hard work, but nobody wants hard work. People would rather get the same benefit doing no work, let alone hard work, right? So I would use that. I would also use the term, it will take a bit of luck, right? It'll take a bit of luck, meaning even if they work hard at it, it's going to take some luck in order for them to get what they want, right? People don't want to hear that, right? Why do you think there's so many people play the lottery, right? They don't want a bit of luck. They want a lot of luck. They want all the luck, right? So that was a term that made people avoid me, right? Another one was it will require a large amount of self-sacrifice on your part. I would tell people that used to be my go-to line to get people to really, really be all in on what I was talking about, telling them it was going to take a large amount of self-sacrifice. And they would avoid that, right? Or I would tell people it would take a lot of time and patience on their part to get this, to achieve what they want. When I would tell people that, and they would avoid that as well, man. And those things were very, very difficult for people to accept, right? It was just difficult, right? All of these terms were immediate turnoffs to people when I was trying to get them to do things that I learned, right? So eventually I learned, through a little bit of mentoring and growing, right? I soon learned how to change these terms, right? So now, instead of telling people about change is slow and all of this things, I would tell them, I would use terms like sudden transformation, right? People like to hear that they could just change instantly. Overnight, sudden transformation, and your life will immediately get better, right? And I'm not lying when I say that. The transformation is instantaneous. and your reality is based on what you think up here. So I'm still telling the truth, but it's colored differently, man. I would also tell people, something like a quick shift can bring an instant change, right? A quick shift. Some of the things they're doing. So I would say a quick shift can bring an instant change to the results you're getting out of your life. I would use something to that terms, right? I would use things like bypassing hard work. I would tell people about bypassing hard work. I would use terms like in no time. People love to hear that, in no time, right? Because a lot of people aren't patient. Or I would use something like, one stroke can change your fortune, right? One stroke of the pen can change your fortune forever, man. And of course, right? Of course, I was always in those conversations with the promise of adventure. People love adventure, right? They love the promise of adventure. When I began to do those things and speak in that way, people began to flock to me. People began to flock to me, and they began to want to listen to what I had to say in my career, in my business, in my life, right? They began to listen to what I had to say. So that changed the game for me, right? Now, these are just some of the ways that I began to bend reality. We talk about bending reality, and I would use these terms to gain my power and my influence over those who I needed to follow me and to help me to have a better life, right? We all need somebody. We all need everybody to have a better life. And those were the things that I began to use, and it began to work in my favor. But the reason why I say this is because a lot of you guys, you may be trapped within the constructs of a fantasy. You may be strapped in, you may be locked into a fantasy, and you are avoiding reality. So you're avoiding how life is, and someone may have you wrapped into this construct of the whole fantasy world and the fantasy life. And so now you're trying to figure to yourself, why are you not advancing? Why are you not having things better in your life? Why aren't you moving forward? And so you're just stuck in a vicious loop. See, fantasy traps you in a vicious loop, right? And the truth is, reality is painful, and as you move toward pain and as you move toward being uncomfortable, that is when you begin to change, right? So people see a good life, and a lot of them think just, no hard work and just living on the beach, right? But the truth is that a good life consists of constantly working, constantly putting in work, constantly giving value to the world, right? And constantly changing. So now you may be going through your life, right? If you're in that fantasy, right? Satisfied, but, right? Never really making progress. So think about that, right? You're satisfied, and they say, I forget what they say about reality. But fantasy. But that people would be better off living in a fantasy land and happy than facing reality and living with the pain of their life as it is. So I say that to say that if you're starting to feel that tug, that pull, that you're not really getting anywhere in life, then you may be trapped in that little cycle, man. And I'm not trying to be the person, the bad guy or whatever, here, to bring this bad news to you about reality. I'm just offering, those who really need it, right? Those who really want it, the red pill. That's right. Even though I'm wearing blue, I'm trying to offer you guys the red pill instead of the blue pill, so that you guys can step out of the fantasy world and that vicious loop of you not making progress and not getting ahead, and step into reality. And reality is, it's not always happiness and smiles, but when you began putting in the work to create a new life, to bring value to your own life, what happens is you begin to get comfortable with it. And when you begin to get comfortable with it, you start to feel good about yourself, right? And I want you guys to feel good about yourself and the life that you are living each and every day. So think about that. Okay, now, as I say this here and now, right, this may cause me to be hated, right? Because the most detested person in the world, right? The most detested person in the world is the one who always tells the truth, but never romanticizes anything. So, in me breaking it to you, the reality to you in the end, maybe, this may get a couple of people not to like me, but the truth is, the ones that do need to hear this, I need to put it out to you, man. You guys need to grow. You need to take the red pill. You need to step through and begin creating the life that you want, but understanding that it's going to take that pain, that hurt, that uncomfortable feeling in order to move ahead, man. So I'm gonna wrap it up for today with today's podcast. Thank you, Mr. J, for stepping on and chatting with me a little bit today, and everybody else who came on over to the podcast. Welcome to the Lieutenant Sal Blue podcast. I was live on Spotify, guys, and I am also going to be over here on YouTube each and every day, 365 days a year. We're going to do this, especially if my other app doesn't act right. So we're going to continue to do that, and I will talk to you guys some more. Oh, by the way, make sure you guys head on over to lieutenantsalblue.com. I didn't say that in the beginning, and pick up your copy of my book, Top 25 Mistakes en Route to the Good Life. Pick up your copy of my book, Top 25 Mistakes en Route to the Good Life, second edition, right? Tons and tons of goodness in this book here. Tons of goodness in this book. You guys will get so much out of this book if you get on over here and check it out. And by the way, it's ltsalblue.com to pick it up, your copy of my book today, right? And also, I have my audiobook on there as well, and tons of extras over at my site at lieutenantsalblue.com. So go on over there and check it out. All right. And also, on all the social media platforms, DM me, let me know what topics you guys want me to talk about on my daily podcast tomorrow or going ahead to the future. All right. So this is Lieutenant Sal Blue, and I am signing off, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow on my daily podcast. All right. Deuces.